Morning, folks. It's Bob out here at Serenity Hill. Just thought I'd show you what I'm working on today. I am doing our master bedroom closet, and I'm doing it in red cedar, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But first I want to show you the wood that I'm working with here. Now this is some of the beautiful wood that I'm working with, and hopefully it'll show up on camera. You see this? See all these little lines in it here? This is from the planing that was done on it to smooth it. And you see the planer, it leaves these, sometimes they leave these little ridges in it. You can actually feel that. Now, this is a big commercial planer. I've got this planer over here, this DeWalt, what they call a lunchbox planer, which is funny because the thing's like 75 pounds. You can't carry it like a lunchbox. But it leaves a lot smoother finish. So what I'm doing right now is I'm having to cut these down into some smaller pieces for the short wall of the closet. I've already got the back wall done. And I don't like the look of this. I mean, the wood is beautiful, but I can see these little lines. In fact, you can kind of feel that. So once I cut these to length, what I will do is I'm going to take them over there to my bench and run my sander over it, and I'll show you the difference that it makes. I've got my sander hooked up to my shop vac here, so it's going to get a little noisy. But I'll start out with a piece of 80 grit, and this is an open weave, so the sander really works well in it. And I'll make one pass, and then I'll take the 120 and finish it off. Okay, now I've done half of it, and hopefully this will show up well, but that you can see the difference here. You can see these little lines here in this side where I've done it with the 80 grit. You can see almost a line there, and boy, you can feel it with your hand. This feels kind of rough. You can feel all those little ridges in it from the planer, the knives on the planer. But over here, it's just as smooth as can be. Texture's a little rough because it's 80 grit, but I'll run over it with the 120, and that'll make it just as smooth as a piece of glass. I mean, it's beautiful. But hopefully that shows up, and you can see those lines running up and down, and you can feel them with your hand. You might say, well, Bob, you're going to be putting this in a closet. There's going to be clothes around it. There's going to be shelf in front. And you aren't going to be able to see all of this. You'll see some of it, but you won't see all of it. Why are you doing that? Well, if you were having this done by the professionals, I'm sure they wouldn't do this because it takes time. It adds to the cost. And to keep costs down, they're just going to cut it to length, slap it in place, nail it, and go. But that's one of the advantages sometimes when you're doing it yourself. You're trading your time for paying someone else. But you can make it look the way you want it to. And that's just a little detail that I like to do that makes it look prettier. All right, let me finish this up. Now, I'll put up here one that's been sanded and one that hasn't, and you can, hopefully that difference shows up. It shows up real well from here, but right here you can see and feel the marks from a sander, and this is just as smooth as can be. And to me, it just looks prettier, and that's what I want going in there. All right, so here it is at the end of the day. Hope it shows up well enough. I've got the cedar in the back of the closet. Where it stops up there, I have to put some braces across because I'm going to put a ceiling there. It's about 9 foot up in the air. And there's the corner. And then on each of the little interior walls, I've also got the cedar. So everything is covered with cedar. I'm shy a few pieces for up top. I need, about probably about 6 more pieces to be able to go all the way up to where my roof line is going to be. Sorry for blinding you there. But that's what our closet looks like with the red cedar. Now, what I'll be doing on the inside of this, that's beautiful, isn't it? What I'm going to be doing on the inside of this, now this closet is just shy of 15 feet. It's 14, I think it's like 14 feet 10 inches or something like that. So I'm going to divide it into halves. And that it's going to be divided right in the center of this wall. Is where it's going to be divided in half. And then, like, this is Deb's side of it. So over here will be a low hanging bar, and then a higher hanging bar, and then above that a shelf, and then the top of the unit, and then that'll be approximately 3 feet wide, and then an area approximately 2 feet wide will be right in here, and it'll have a low hanging bar, and then it'll have a set of shelves about 24 inches wide, and then over here will be a shelf down at the bottom, about 12 inches off the ground will be a shelf, and then there'll be a hanging bar here for dresses, and then there'll be a big shelf above that. So if she wants to put purses and things like that, there'll be a shelf that'll be the perfect size to fit purses and like up here. And then on my side, since I don't have dresses to hang up, but I do have some suits, I will make this area here where the long hanging would be, I'll make it narrower, basically big enough to hold, my suits and sport coats, and then make the center section a little bit wider, so I have a little bit more space for hanging shirts and pants and things like that. So I figured out, what was it, 3, 6, 9. Each of us will have over 10 feet. I think it's over 11 feet, almost 12 feet of hanging rod space to hang shirts and pants and suits and dresses and things like that in our closets. And when you think about that, by doing the double decker, that's a lot of clothes. So hopefully that doesn't get both of us to thinking, wow, I got all this space, I need to go out and buy some more clothes. But and in the center, like I said, will be shelves, so you can put bulky items like sweaters and t-shirts and stuff like that on shelves in here. So looks pretty, doesn't it? Well, my next project is going to be, believe it or not, one of the things I had leaning up against this wall, and I had to move it, and I've moved it for the last time, is a piece of 3/4 inch thick 4x8 sheet of oak plywood. Now, I bought this plywood back gosh, 3 years ago, back when I bought all the materials to make this built-in unit. And back then, a sheet of oak plywood was, I think it was $42 or $43. Now you pay more than that for a sheet of BCX sanded pine plywood, and a piece of 3/4 inch thick B2 surface oak hardwood is $88 and change. So it's about twice as much, a little over twice as much as what I paid for it. Right at the beginning of the of when prices started to go up. It had already gone up a little, but it was right before everything shot up like crazy. So what I'm going to do is I've got a 12-inch wide strip of a 3/4 12-inch by 8 foot, and then I've got that 4 by 8, and I'm going to go ahead. My next project will be to cut that to put the shelves in my shelf unit in here. That way I've got that big heavy piece of plywood out of the way. I won't be moving it again and again. And then I'll be able to get to the 3/4 inch plywood that I bought for putting countertops in the kitchen. So what I'm trying to do now is, instead of moving stuff around from place to place, I'm getting to a point where what I have to do is I'm trying to take that material, put it in its final place, and it's in place, installed, ready to go. I don't have to ever touch it again, instead of moving it around. And then I've got to clear all this mess out. I got all my craft show stuff in here, and I got a bunch of materials in here so that we can get to our bedroom and get it ready to go. So closet done. Well, interior, I still have to buy the materials and make the inside for it, but the thing is, I don't have a stack of materials around that I've got to stumble around or move around or anything like that. So that's where I am at right now, is trying to get, instead of moving this stuff around all over the place, put it where it needs to go, and that way I don't have to touch it again. So yeah, I've got a couple sheets of plywood. One's to go on countertops, and one's to build shelves in the other cabinet units that I'm going to be building real soon here. So that's where we are. Boy, it smells good in here. Cutting that cedar, sanding that cedar, getting it in place. One more thing checked off the list. And like I said, things, once you get to these kind of things start happening a lot faster. And it's like every day there's another thing checked off the list, which is kind of exciting. All right, I'll let you go now. I'm going to get cleaned up and go in and fix something for dinner. And we appreciate you stopping by and checking out our videos. Don't be afraid to get out there and do something, to try something, make something. You know, it's just very satisfying when you go put your hands on something and you could say, I did that. This is Bob at Serenity Hill. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you on the next one.